certainly thankful to get out of there with a win. That's what you have to do in this conference. It's a really good team. It's coached by a Hall of Famer who I have the utmost respect for. And it was a battle. I mean, these are hard games, every one of them. And so at the end of the day, you find a way to win and you move on. And then you pick up the pieces the next day and you try to figure out how to get prepared as best you can for the next one. So that's what we did today. Proud of a lot of our guys for stepping up in different ways. Just really, really thankful for their response to, how the game ended on Saturday, because certainly there was a opportunity, if they wanted, to feel sorry for themselves and listen to all the stuff about how, the way the game ended was wrong, and that could have affected our ability to prepare for what we needed to do today. So just thankful and, glad to have a win under our belt in the league.
You talked a lot about in the last month or so the improvement and the growth, but in a 3-day stretch, you have your ups and downs in Kansas in the finish. You have a 13-point lead, lose that here, and then they respond. Have you seen more growth in the last 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, again, you're sitting here on January 2nd with 5 losses, and people just can't understand that because you hadn't played a bunch of Big 12 teams prior to this. But again, I'm not going to sit back as a guy who watches these kids practice and see the growth that we've made and ignore it and then not be able to tell people what's actually happening. Our team is significantly better today than we were on December 2nd. And that's a testament to the kids because we had to change some things in how we were playing to be able to have success in games like this. And to their credit, they've taken that coaching and they've put it into practice. Now, tonight we didn't shoot it as well. It's a tough game to play against these guys. It's always super physical. There's always a lot of fouls. There's always a lot of free throws. So the game doesn't have the type of rhythm and flow that some of the other games may have. But the improvement of these kids individually, but us collectively, is it's hard to ignore unless you just want to be, a butthole about it.
KB
I'm trying to make men's not to cuss this year.
New Year's resolution?
Not really, but.
KB didn't play well offensively in Lawrence. He didn't shoot a shot in the first half, but then he found some energy late. Where'd you kind of see that come from, and just him down the stretch, I guess?
KB, it's been an interesting study. You've been here the whole time, right? Ton of potential, but just the inconsistency. So what we've always talked about. And I don't know sometimes if he doesn't believe in himself enough to go out and just play with the type of confidence that he showed in the second half today. But I've been, trying to get him to understand, if we're going to get where we want to go, we need the best version of him. And in his credit, he took the criticism from yesterday, because if he plays better on Saturday, it doesn't come down to the last possession, in all honesty. Now, it wasn't his fault we lost the game. But if he plays better, it doesn't come down to a one-shot game. And as a senior, a guy who's been around and played his 100th game on Saturday, significant. That means he's been through this league a lot, and he knows what to expect. We gotta get it more from him, and he's got to understand how valuable he is, because when he plays well, honestly, for the most part, we have success, and it takes a lot of pressure off the guards, takes a lot of pressure off the other bigs, and it gives us another option in a way to attack defenses without having to shoot a bunch of jump shots.
Do you think that tie-up sparked him in a way?
Yeah, a little bit, and I don't know how you can't manufacture that though, right? I mean, you can't create confrontation in the game. I try to do it as much as I can in practice, but you got to be careful. I mean, what are you gonna do? Make one of his teammates elbow him or something? I don't know. So I'm glad it happened, because it did look like it gave him a little bit more life.
You guys were kind of struggling with entry passes early in the game. What changed there down the stretch?
We changed the way we approach our cuts and screens to try to loosen up their defense. They play a very, again, we saw it a little bit with Sam Houston. Obviously, they got much better athletes, bigger guys, stronger guys. But it's why you play those games, so that there's a little bit of familiarity with it. And so we got a little bit more comfortable with it, and were able to take care of the ball much better late in the game.
I know John Michael's new to the Big 12, even though he's an experienced player. How impressed have you been with him through 2 games in Big 12 play?
He's been terrific. I'm glad his confidence is growing, and obviously, if you're worried about how well you can play in our league, which there's some thought to maybe that's what happens. Well, you go into Lawrence for the first time and you play as well as he did in that game, that'll kind of make you believe a little bit more. And so, there's a little bit of an advantage to having that be your first game, and to see how he responded there, to give him some confidence going through the rest of it. Not that this game's easier or the next game's going to be easier, but everybody kind of expects it to be a challenging environment, and the way he responded there, I think, helped him for tonight.
I think I maybe asked him about it in Lawrence on Saturday, but we're like 4 games into the John Michael Wright offense with him kind of leading it. How have you seen that develop, I guess? How do you think that is 4 games in?
Yeah, I'll be careful saying it's his offense. Our offense is being initiated by him more, but Bryce Thompson's playing pretty well too. And tonight we got some more production out of Avery and Caleb. And so we need all those guys, because that's the type of team we are. We're not going to probably have one guy get 25 consistently on a night-to-night basis. It may be a night where BT gets 23, and maybe tonight we need 12 and 6 from KB. And if we get both of them on the same night, now we're talking about a team that can really compete for the league. And I don't say that lightly. I know how hard this league is. I also know that we've prepared well, and I want to give credit to a couple of things. One, our staff, and I talked about this the other day, but there's no way our kids can respond the way they did if my staff isn't good enough to get them back in a good mind space yesterday with a quick turn. And so Larry Blunt, who had to scout tonight, and Terrence Rencher, who had to scout Saturday, and David Cason, along with Scott and Keaton, and all the rest of them, were phenomenal with just getting our guys in a good mind space so that they can let that go. Because you got to let it go, because it's a totally different game, a totally different approach. The way you have to win the game, it's not close, And so credit to our staff, but also credit to Bernard Kuma, who, when Musa went out there, I told him in the locker room, I'm not sure in the last 3 years there's been a scholarship player that's played less real significant minutes than he has. And not one time has he ever complained. He comes to practice every day with a great attitude. He's dependable. And obviously when we needed him tonight, he stepped up and gave us 3 really, really good minutes. And obviously didn't win the game, but he certainly made sure that we held the line for a little while he was in there.
How was Musa?
I don't know. Again, obviously you saw we put him back in there, so I just don't know if it's stiff, if it's swelled. I don't know that. He felt good enough to give us something, but we'll have probably a better report as we go through the week.
Is it an ankle?
I think it was a knee.
What do you think of Tyreek? I know he kind of moved down there and played, I think, 27 minutes. What do you think of his performance tonight?
Tyreek was terrific, and it's interesting because usually it's Tyreek's playing little minutes and scoring 12 points on like 3 shots. But tonight he played a lot of minutes and didn't score or didn't make a basket. But did you see the kid he was guarding? I mean, I watched it on film, and I hadn't seen that kid in person. But when I walked out and I looked, and I said, oh, my gosh. He's much bigger than he looks. And obviously the stats tell you 6'10", 285, but you don't know what that looks like until you get up there. And he's a man. But Tyreek battled, came up with huge rebounds for us, and obviously set some really good screens and just held the line there defensively for us while Musa was out. So really, really proud of him.
What kind of changes for you guys when Musa's not on the floor?
Well, I mean, we lose a little bit of length around the rim. But, we always talked about, we feel like we got 3 really capable guys in there to rotate through. And so they're all a little bit different. He's probably the least efficient offensively because most of his stuff comes off on lobs and stuff like that. But obviously his rebounding and defense is invaluable to us, and, certainly hope that he's okay and we can get him back here soon.
Mike, when they take the lead there, I think it was like a 9-0 run, and things are getting kind of tense down there on the court. How did you kind of hit the pause button in that timeout and really set the team straight going in to be able to close that out and win?
Well, the kids did it. My message to them was, we got to decide that we really want to be a good team. Coming close, playing really well for stretches of games and coming up short. We've been here. Virginia Tech, UConn, if we really want to be a team that's significant in February and March, you find a way to get the job done. At the end of the day, whether it's 1 point or 10 points or 6 points like it was today, you find a way to come up with a loose ball, take a charge, to make a big shot. Caleb Asbury's 3 was huge for us. His rebound late and free throws was huge, and he's a guy who's second game back after being out for about 2 weeks. So a lot of different guys came up and gave us big minutes. I thought Keon Williams, who got his first Big 12 experience tonight, gave us significant minutes as well, just being aggressive. And that's not easy. I mean, this day and age, a kid didn't play in the game for the first time all year on Saturday. So I have no idea what he heard, but I'm sure it wasn't a whole lot of positivity considering his team lost and he didn't play. But again, credit to our staff, just making sure that he was understanding. It happens. It's hard to put that young man in that situation Saturday. Could screw him up, if it doesn't go well. But to get him back today and have him go out there and help us win was big.
Did that technical foul on Stevenson kind of flip some things for you guys too?
Obviously at that point he had gotten it going. So we needed – I didn't expect that to be the way it got shut down, but certainly wasn't upset. I don't know what happened, didn't see it, but definitely allowed us to do some different things as we tried to close the game out.
You weren't Marcus's coach, but how important is it to have a guy of his stature come back and be involved like he was tonight?
Oh, man, I mean, I can't overstate how important the former players to our program are. And obviously when you talk about recent successful players who got all the way to the maximum level that they want to get to, he's right up there, along with Cade. And so for him to take time out of his schedule, they played last night, they play tomorrow, could easily just say, I need some rest, to come up here and support these kids, to go in the locker room and deliver a message that it's supposed to be hard, that coaching is not supposed to be comfortable. It's super significant. I mean, I say it all the time. I'm just fortunate to be the coach here, but this isn't my program. This is his. This is his program. It's Keaton Page's program. It's Scott Sutton's program. It's the guys in the locker room. It's their program. And for them to feel that connection to it long after they've been gone shows that they feel like they were treated well while they were here. So it's always important that they come back and we show them the type of respect that we try to every time.
He's known as a defensive pest. He somewhat drew a technical tonight. Was that, you kind of mentioned earlier, what was that like from your vantage point?
So I don't know what happened, to be honest.
They were drawn a little bit every time you made a shot.
Okay. So again, I'm not really aware. I was so locked into the game, but thank you, Marcus. Another assist for Oklahoma State. But no, I mean, I can't even quantify the value of having that guy come in that locker room and talk to those kids, because he sat there and probably felt the same way a lot of them feel now, whether they're playing well or not playing well, wanting to get to where he's going, and for him to deliver the message about taking the coaching and it being about the team, and congratulations on getting the job done, extremely significant, and I'm thankful to him for it. I'm not a Celtics fan, but a guy who's on their staff is a really good friend of mine, Damon Stoudemire. He was also in there. So I'm very thankful for both of them, but certainly for Marcus and his impact on what our program means and how much he means to not only the kids but myself. I told him it means a lot to me that he's here, and hope he comes back more.
For more information, you can visit tulsaworld.com.